Hello YouTube and welcome to another demo motovlog. Today we're riding the Ducati Panagale V4S, the ultimate superbike for the road. So we've got about 15 minutes here to review this motorcycle, and I don't even know if I have 15 minutes worth of shit to say, guys. You know, it's really tough to review a bike like this from a ride like this. And also, it's really tough for someone of my skill level to review a bike like this. I'm going to go back to my track day footage. I mean, again, if you watch my track day footage, you can see that I'm a beginner motorcyclist. So, this bike is so far beyond my capabilities as a rider that I'm not really sure what to do. So let's start off with the good, the things so this is going to be my personal take. You know, I can't give an objective review on this motorcycle. I just can't do it. You know, there's plenty of reviews out there on this bike from much more competent individuals than myself. So let's start with what I like. The first thing is the looks. I love the way this motorcycle looks. Is it as sexy and just purely beautiful as a twin Panagale? I don't know. I don't know if it's as sexy as the twin Panagale, but on its own, when it's not next to an old Panagale, man, does it look good. It looks really good. I mean, out of the bikes here we're demoing today, it's easily the best looking bike by a mile. Next is the sound. The camera does not do any justice to the way this bike sounds when you're on it. It is unbelievable. It is thrilling, and that's really me saying a lot. This is the best sounding motorcycle that I have ever been on personally, and that includes the Aprilia, the Aprilia RSV4. This to me sounds a little bit better than that already amazing motorcycle sound. Shit. Next, after sound, we have the best part of this bike, which is not something you can really see, but it's something you can feel almost right away, and that's the suspension. Holy shit, the suspension on this motorcycle is amazing. Especially on the street. I mean, I don't know how it is on the track, but on the road, it is unbelievable. And this is coming from a GS owner, so I know a few things about, you know, plush suspension, but the suspension on this bike is so plush. It absorbs bumps like I have never, ever felt it before. I can't even. Seriously, it is unbelievable. I hit a couple potholes, not like on purpose, but just because, you know, we're in this staggered formation and there's not a whole lot of room to dodge. And it was almost like they weren't there. Bumps, non-existent. Nothing. Elevation changes like flat road. It is crazy. The suspension is so good that it almost makes riding this bike boring, which is nuts. I mean, it's nuts. What else do I like? The throttle. I would say the throttle mapping is reasonably good. Again, if coming from a GS owner, that's quite high praise. Is it as good as my GS? No. Nah, it's not. It's still a little snatchy compared to that, but just barely so. And that's in, I guess this was in like street mode or whatever, the lowest mode that the bike has. I didn't play with the modes, so there's no point on a ride like this. So those are the big 3 likes. You know, the big 4 likes. The looks, the sound, the suspension, and the throttle. I guess I can mention the brakes. I never really got to test the brakes in any real capacity. So, they slow the bike down. They feel pretty good. They feel as good as my buddy's KTM? Nah, not quite. But those are the best brakes I've ever felt, by a mile. They make the S1000 brakes feel wooden. So what don't I like about this bike? Well, the first thing is first gear. Holy shit, this is just your typical leader bike problem. But first gear is a pain in the ass when you're riding like this. It is so fucking tall. I mean, I think you just saw it there in the video. I was doing 40 in first gear, and I was barely churning like 7,000 RPMs. The bike is taller in first gear. I'd say the first gear on this bike is the same as the 4th gear on my GS. And it feels like that when you're taking off from a stop. It feels like you're just lugging the shit out of this motorcycle when you take off from a stop. You probably noticed it when I started. The first time I pulled away on the bike, I almost stalled it. I almost fucking stalled it right in front of everybody because I wanted to let the clutch out like I was on my 600. You know, and I just couldn't do it. Man, look at the speed there. I mean... so effortless. Just normal leader bike stuff. Just such effortless speed. So what else don't I like about this? Again, this is just your typical leader bike thing, and that's the heat of the bike. This was not a particularly warm day. 70 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe? And I was getting cooked by the bike. At this point in the ride, I was sweating. When I got off the bike, I was sweating. Like, riding a bike like this is an event for many reasons, and one of those reasons is it is hot as shit. It's got so much heat to bleed off because of how much power it makes that just, God, it cooks the shit out of you. Now, that's a complaint that every leader bike has. You know, whether it's a Gixxer or, you know, an R1M or, you know, an S1000RR, whatever. They are all going to cook the shit out of you just because of the nature of their engines. But that's still a complaint. I mean, Ducati did not solve the heat, the fact that this is a super hot motorcycle. What else don't I like? I'm gonna say it. On the road, on these types of rides, leader bikes fucking suck, man. I'm probably having like the least amount of fun out of like everybody on these bikes. That's not saying I'm not having fun. Don't confuse what I'm saying for like a complaint, because I'm not complaining saying that this is an unfun bike. That's not the case. This is very, very fun and exhilarating bike. It's an event to ride. It's beautiful. It sounds amazing. I mean, I'm not going to go into the comfort, but it's, you know, it's comfortable enough. It's hot. It's no hotter than any other leader bike, you know, that kind of thing. But man, I mean, compared to, say, something like a Monster or a Multistrada or, you know, a Ducati Super Sport, this bike just, it feels like you have to hold the bike back the whole time you're riding it. The bike is just like a wild animal, itching to break free from its cage, and you're holding the cage closed and maybe opening it a crack. That kind of thing. It's just... It's just like... that's the best way I can describe it. I mean, you're just holding the bike back the entire time you ride. And I think that's my problem with a lot of these modern super bikes, is that you can't ride them on the street. These are street bikes. You know, they have mirrors, lights, number plates, turn signals, fancy electronic suspension, just all kinds of stuff. Just seriously. And well, I just got some really distressing news. Completely unrelated to this video. So I'm not sure how much I can concentrate on it. I'm going to try to finish this out, but there's not really much else to say. I mean, you got my likes, you got my dislikes, you got a bit of a rant about leader bikes in general. Yeah, you know, I'm just going to stop this here. Watch the rest, don't watch the rest. It's mostly just riding around like this and then a little bit of revving in the Coleman parking lot. Thank you, Coleman, by the way, for all these demo rides. I know you're just trying to make motorcycle sales and stuff, but it's real cool of you to allow us to, you know, demo this. Oh, you know, that's another dislike. I didn't notice that. The turn signals. I don't know what it is, but when you press the turn signal in to cancel it, it, like, doesn't cancel it sometimes. I'm not sure if I was maybe, like, pressing it in at an angle or something. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was pressing it in at an angle, but they make it really easy to not cancel the turn signal. So that would be a dislike. This is our final turn here, Telegraph Road. It was a pretty good demo ride. It kind of reinforced my belief that I just don't think these types of bikes are for me. They're so fast, they're so capable, and they're so competent that, on one hand, riding them is an event, right? It makes you feel special being on a bike like this. You know, people are looking at you. You know, people want to see the bike. They want to hear the bike, all kinds of stuff. But at the same time, the bike is supposed to be an event, right? It's a super bike, right? It's comparable to a supercar. But on the other hand, the bike is so capable, so fast, so effortless, that it just... it's just not an event. It's not an event because of how easy it is to ride quickly. I almost feel like if you're talking about just raw fun from a motorcycle, you know, I've got my GS. That bike is so much fun to ride. But even my R6 or my Honda are just way more fun because you're able to wring them out. You're able to use the power that the engine provides to you. You're able to give the bike a workout, so to speak. Whereas on a bike like this, you're just kind of puttering along. And it really stinks. I know in the hands of some people in some situations, you know, you've got your Max Wrists and your 650 Ebs and your other guys and gals out there who ride very, very quickly. This bike would be great for them, but for me, you know, your sensible, mostly law-abiding citizen, do yourself a favor. Don't even worry about bikes like this. This would be like me wanting to buy like a Pagani Zonda. Like, sure, you got the looks and the sound and the feel and the this and the that and the other and the blah blah blah. But at the same time, you can never actually fucking drive it because the thing goes 70 miles an hour in first gear, and you know, anytime you try to push the engine at all, you're going recklessly fast, or, you know, intent to kill, you know, whatever. So, and it's hard stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't take my rant the wrong way, like I'm saying this is a bad bike, because it's not. This is probably the best super bike I've ridden. It's just so good. It's so competent. It's so smooth. It's so easy that it's almost boring. And I think that's the conclusion of this video. This is a 200-mile-an-hour land missile that almost feels like riding on an airplane, right? You want your fucking snack and your drink, and you want to take a nap. That's the way this bike makes you feel. Have a great night, guys, and think about your ride-in.
It's pretty good. It's loud as shit and fast as hell. And
I want to see what all the hype is about. I mean, I wouldn't consider getting one, but
it's hard to tell when you're only going 70 miles an hour.
true. True.
Doesn't even get out of first gear, you know what I mean? I couldn't even redline in first gear, so.
And that's why they say that's the difference between the 1,000 or whatever it is against like 600. It's like 600 you can have someone.
Oh yeah, I got my 600. This thing's got really, really long first gear, like 100 plus miles an hour in first gear.
Oh man.
You're pulling away from a light, you gotta slip that clutch.
Oh yeah, I don't think I'm gonna mess with it again. I don't know.
I think it's pretty hot. Nothing abnormal for a liter bike. It's pretty nice, man. I like it. It's a pretty good bike.
You like it, though. You like it.
I like it. If I had 30 grand, I'd buy it.
Is that what the MSRP is?
It's like 27.5 for the S. This model for this particular bike. Yeah.
That's a bit steep. But so if you just had it at expense, you probably would just say
If I could write it off on my taxes or something.
good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Are you riding anything?
Yeah. I've been waiting for such drive. I wanted the swim, man. I wanted to